Okay, am I on here? Looks like I am. All right, well, welcome everybody. Now I'm trying to figure out where this noise is coming from. Sounds like my phone. Okay, am I on here? All right, got that taken care of. Okay, so sorry about the screw up, guys. Um, yeah, it's not a comb. It's the hair that's growing out here. Here, tell you what, boss, I'll fix. Or who said that? Deeps. Here we go. There we go. We'll let the hair down. Okay, so I totally screwed up my timing today and had a car to run out, and I don't know. I maybe I set my clock in the wrong direction or something. But hey, I made it, and I appreciate you guys waiting around. At least the ones that did. I'm sure not everybody did. So hey, I'm here. I see you guys were talking. I was on the road. I wasn't driving, so I was reading your comments, and didn't see too many positive things. Uh, I was pretty excited to see the 24.2 million in sales, only because I guessed it, and then from there it's pretty much downhill because of this. The stock today was pretty miserable. Um, this was about the point right here. Reached up to 369 where they said, "Oh, we're going to hold off on phase three, and we're not going to make our production goals." I think they could make their production goals. I just don't think that they want to. As everyone's been talking about in the chat, you're producing something at such a huge loss. Why? Why produce it at such a big loss? Time to slow down production. Mute is not on. Unmuting helps. Okay, that's not even funny. All right. Um, Isonia, maybe you've got your phone turned down or your computer. So, yeah, why make them if you're going to sell them at such a loss? So, there's obviously several problems right now. One, they have to fix the Romeo problem. And tell me if you guys got the same thing out of this. They bought Romeo, and Romeo did not disclose certain things to them about these subsidies or something that was costing these battery packs to be a whole lot more than they're actually costing. Because it seemed like they didn't know this going into this, and they found out about it after the purchase was done. Is that what you guys are getting out of this? Because that's what I got out of that. That they were kind of blindsided by something, and Romeo may not have been the purchase that they expected. So they've got to fix the costs on the battery packs by 80%, they say. And the sooner they can do that, the better. The sooner, the better. And these battery packs, you got to keep in mind, also go into the fuel cell trucks. So it has to be done regardless. So that's obviously one of the problems. The other problem is the infrastructure. These companies don't have charging stations, and whether or not they're willing to commit to them, or if they're running into problems with local political groups, slowing it down through permitting or other issues. Because remember, if you've got a company that's already established and they in a place where they have their trucking depot and they want to put in 20 charging stations, but they're not being allowed to, there's not much they can do about it except for lawsuits or whatever. But they can't just up and move to another location very easily just so that they can have electric vehicles. It's not something that's worth it. If it's a new company looking to open up shop somewhere and they realize that they can't do something that they want to in a location, then they could move on. They have a lot more leverage, but once a company's already in there, they lose that leverage. So that the infrastructure has to be figured out, but it shouldn't be that hard. We talked about it this morning, or was it this morning, or I don't know. We've talked about it in the last couple of days. Riley and I went past Rivian, past one of the Amazon hubs. They had 50 charging stations there, at least. Not to mention all the Rivian trucks that they had for, the delivery trucks. So Amazon was able to do it. Just happens to be, 10, 15 miles from me. I'm sure they're doing it all over the country. I don't think it was just coincidence that the only place that they can get it done was down the street from me. So that needs to be resolved. And I think the Romeo thing needs to be resolved first. Uh, because selling these trucks, losing $200,000 is not something that's viable. And you don't want to speed up your production. You got to keep testing the truck, make the truck better, find out ways to make it cheaper, and keep promoting it and take orders for a later time. But those are the things that need to happen. And, Penne mentioned, a bunch of people mentioned they don't have any, they have very little to gain from producing additional trucks, and that's true. But he says until phase 2 is complete, but phase 2 I don't think is going to make much of a difference. It's going to lower some of the costs, but if these modules are costing $100,000 more than what they anticipated, it's a big problem, and it has to be resolved ASAP. It should be what everyone who has the knowledge to be working on. They need to be working on that and lowering the cost for that. So obviously we could see that the stock was just on a downhill all day after the initial earnings report came out. It was great, then it wasn't. So let's take a look at the video today, and we'll see what we have to see here. Let's see if I can find it. Whew. All right, and now we're moving on that. Yeah, I know you guys are talking about everyone loses money. They were planning on losing money. They originally were going to have margins that were going to be negative 65 to negative 70% when they initially started building the vehicles, which sounds like a lot, and it is, especially when a vehicle costs $350,000, because that's close to $200,000 right there at 65, 70%. And then when they bought Romeo, it was supposed to go up 125, 150% for a couple of quarters, and until they were able to balance that out. Now we're looking at more than that. So now it becomes something that's not sustainable. So doing flybys just to be happy about more trucks, now it's going to be like, I'm not so happy. Anyway, we caught this shot. We thought it was a good shot of a $600,000 Nikola tray coming down the road. So, going to share that with you. That was a nice angle. We liked it, so we made sure we shared it with you guys. Mr. G wants to know when we're doing flyovers of Nikola and Lucid. Well, this is a flyover of Nikola, so enjoy. And Lucid, we have a short one later tonight. We had some severe weather issues with wind and rain, but the wind was the worst part, and it was really causing us some issues as far as flying around. And you can see the weather over here, low clouds, and it was raining, drizzling. You can see a little bit flying by in the screen here and there. It wasn't horrible, otherwise we wouldn't have been flying. Yeah, then we have another, you can see the rain coming down in the middle of the screen a little bit. Then we have another issue of they're not going to be doing phase 3 for an undetermined amount of time. I think they did say 2024, but once this construction is done, end of first quarter, and we're talking 5 months from now, there's not going to be much for us to film except for new trucks coming out. And at this point, we don't want to see new trucks. Why so much dead space between trailer and cab? And I'm sure they need the length for stability, but I feel like they should have the cab pushed back. You've got that space because your trailer comes right up to it, and when you turn, the corners of the trailer are going to be in those spots. So that's the reason for that space. All right, so here we see the wash station, see the dyno station, and you can see a staging area of for some of the construction. Again, we saw this last week. Just to the north, we've got a lot of grading going on, and we don't know what that's about. There's the Nikola truck that was on the test track that we saw earlier, and we'll see again. So right there, you see the grading at the bottom of the screen. You can see the construction equipment. Like I said, we don't know what that's for. We can see that there's more trucks have been produced. There was a couple more since our last flyover, but I'm not interested right now in seeing more trucks. You see, this whole area has been graded, and this area over here south of the water station, that's being graded also. They've got to be doing something with it. Do they say in the call what path forward is to get the pack cost down? They didn't specifically say what they're going to do, but they said over the next, I think it was about the next year, they're going to be working on getting the cost down 80% on the packs. Yes, Omega Man says, I'm glad the CEO put a squash on the Badger nonsense. So am I. By the way, here are two of the beta FCEVs. You can tell with the new design with the black shroud that's there. That is the signature look for it, and that's how we can tell the difference. And then we've got trays, $600,000 trays all over the place. See, Daniel believes that they should have started with the FCEV. The thing is, they thought it was a shortcut in a sense to bringing in income because, like I said earlier today, you got to have batteries in the fuel cell trucks. So the batteries have to be there to store the energy. And we would still have fuel cells, just not as many. And if they do get the pack down to 80%, that would be awesome. The thing is, we need them to do that as soon as possible, or at least start getting it cut in half real soon. They've got to make it so that they can get these trucks out there and start proving their abilities. So also they talked about, this was another thing that kind of bothered me, and we had been discussing the fact that all these trucks are showing up at dealerships and we're not seeing them show up on the road. People saying, hey, I bought this Nikola, I'm going to do a YouTube video. So we were kind of wondering how many of them had actually sold besides how many went to dealers. And it seems like, I think it was 14 they said, have actually been sold from the dealerships. So out of 93 or 83, I don't remember, I got so many numbers in my head today. So we definitely like to see more vehicles actually on the road being sold. And I understand that companies like TTSI, they did their testing, they want them, but they're not ready for them because of the infrastructure. And there's that semi out there again, doing some more testing. I do think that there's a place for both trucks, both battery and fuel cell, as far as there's a place in the market for both. But the price obviously has to be brought down significantly for these battery packs. And I think they can do it, but they need to do it before they aren't anymore. Yeah, I think the main thing is whatever's going on with these battery packs that make them cost so much. That's got to be corrected. They've got to have insight onto what it is, because these battery packs should not be costing what they're costing. So we're gonna have to find out. In quarter four is going to be the thing that we really want to hear some progress on this. That they've been able to reduce the cost by 10, 15, 20%, something. But we've got to have some progress. Do you think anyone would be interested in buying them? It's always a possibility with the stock at the price that it is. They've obviously gotten some things right as far as production goes, because they've been able to produce battery electric vehicles. They've been able to produce fuel cell electric vehicles. So they've been able to make them, design them, make them, and put them together. But now there seems to be some trouble on the back end as far as bringing these costs down. So yeah, each pack is huge, and each truck does have 9 of them. Now the fuel cells have less. I heard 2, but it could be 3. Not exactly sure, but it's significantly less. Well, over on the construction side, you can see that they started putting their metal roof decking up on the south end, and they're working their way north. They still have, let's see, probably 4. Let's see, 4 times, maybe another 14 sections to put up there. And on the south end, they actually started working on the wall panels down there. Jesus Curiel, not really sure how the cost of batteries could be overlooked when buying a company. Yeah, yeah, I'm with you on that. Um, there should have been a lot more due diligence, unless I just heard them wrong. But that's what it sounded like to me. Yes, they do have plenty of cash still available. And I think the reason why they're putting off the phase 3 is, one, because it's not desperately needed right now, when they need to hold on to that cash, and not spending that cash on the construction is going to help them to continue to produce the trucks, and probably the R&D needed to get these batteries priced down, because I think they're going to have to be redesigned, these battery packs, in some way or another, to remove certain parts that maybe aren't necessary. I think the cash burn is going to actually be a little bit less going forward. They're going to have a lot less capex. There's the walls that have been put up since our last visit. See, they got a little door, and they're getting those put up pretty quick. Apparently, those horizontal panels go up quicker than the vertical ones. Yes, JJ, we knew there was going to be a Romeo bump, but it was supposed to be less than what they said. Well, Paul brings up the point that they may not have had a choice. If they didn't keep them afloat, then where would they be getting their batteries from? And then they'd be gone immediately. And if Nikola couldn't get secure batteries, that would be a big problem, obviously. But the progress on phase 2 does look good. But in a way, I feel like it's a beginning of the end for our flyovers of Nikola, if this is going to be the last phase for some time. We'll have to see what happens, though. Things change. Someone had mentioned earlier maybe Walmart will invest in Nikola, because they tend to do that. They've done that before. I don't know on what they've done it before, but that's what someone had said in the comments. I'm not going to hold my breath on anything like that. Right now, any company investing in Nikola, if they went for like 20% or something like that, it still wouldn't be a lot of money. So based on the current market cap, it's still not a huge infusion of money. So it's something that you have to consider. Also, there was a mention earlier about covering Ford Blue Oval City, covering the LG factory. That's also here in Arizona. The LG factory, last I heard, was on hold. So I'm not really sure what's going on with that. And even if it wasn't, we never really thought that battery plant flyovers would be very exciting. There's not much to see there. Once it's walled up, there's not much. You're not going to see much progress. You're not going to see much on the outside showing you what's going on the inside. Let's see, no fuel cell EV progress flyover. Well, there was nothing on the track, so there's nothing we could do. Well, Penny, you're right. Walmart investing in Nikola would definitely skyrocket the stock. Just the orders from Walmart would be enough. I don't think an investment would be needed, especially if maybe they put $1,000 down and ordered 1,000 trucks or 10,000 trucks, something like that. I mean, really, when it comes down to it, I think Amazon and Rivian's deal was very similar to that. Amazon got, ordered 100,000 trucks, gave Rivian a bunch of money, owns part of the company, but that initial investment was for Rivian to make the trucks. And without that cash, they probably wouldn't have been able to get moving like they did. So, anybody think that today's call was positive? Let me know in the comments, because I want to know what you thought was positive. TSMC is also building a factory in Arizona. Production starts 2024. Yeah, that is about 50, 60 miles from me. All right. So for those of you that showed up late, like me, this is a replay of the flyover for today. And you could see that in the beginning we were able to fly over, and we caught a truck zipping around. And we can see more production trucks are out there. More of the $600,000 trucks, as I'm now going to call them. Some of those are test trucks, probably around 10 to 20. The rest of them are saleable trucks. So they are still coming out, and I don't know what the long-term plan is. We're going to probably find out. How can they keep Trevor Milton away? Why would you think that Trevor Milton's coming back? I don't think they're going to do a work release for him. Maybe they will. Maybe they'll let him out during the day, and he can work during, just on a work furlough. All right. Headed to prisoner as a billionaire. Yeah, we'll see what kind of penalties they have for him. So, today was, to me, it was a bit depressing. I was hoping to hear just either more of the same. We're still on target. I know that there's issues with the infrastructure and people picking up trucks because of how they're going to charge them, because charging at Electrify America is really not practical, even though we've seen pictures of it being done. That's especially if you have a trailer, it's just not something that's reasonable. So we'll have to see how that plays out, but we've got to have some progress next quarter. So that's my take on it. So I'm not going to keep everyone on here too long. It was not a great day. The stock can go up and down all the time like it does, and it hasn't been reflective of things that Nikola has done or not done. Today it was. So we're hoping to see. We've got to wait another 3 months before we can hear something different, something more positive. So only the positive. They now have 150 trucks to test for a whole year and build up trust and reliability. Yeah, you can't have $600,000 test trucks. So we've got these can't be done for testing. On a positive note, even though they revised their production numbers, they only revised them because they don't want to just start throwing good money after bad money. But they said their guidance is 120 to 170 for the rest of the year is what I got out of that. And 170 puts them like within just a few of that 300 of the low end goal. So they could make the trucks. Question is, do they want to? And if they didn't want to, I certainly would understand. So that's the positive I can find out of one of the negatives. So, and if they do cut back on making trucks because of the price, and they wait on the production for a little bit, maybe they can improve their production process while they're waiting. Maybe they can ramp up the line, do things that are necessary so that once they get the trucks or the battery packs at the right price, or at least more affordable, then maybe they can just jump into and go, hey, we're ready to do 20 jobs per day. 20 jobs per day is better than the 3 that they're doing. And those 3 would cost them $1.8 million in a day, where it obviously wouldn't cost that for 20. I don't know what the math would be. So improve the production line. We hope to see that over the next by the next quarter. Improve their production line. Say we've got the capacity to do 10 jobs per day. That'd be great, but we're only doing 3 because we don't want to just throw away our money. I'm still good with that. So that's what I hope to see, and I hope to see that they say that we found a way to reduce the costs on these battery packs. So we're not sure when we're flying next, due to scheduling conflicts that have been coming up all this week. So I'm not sure if there's going to be another one this week. Otherwise, we'll be back probably early next week. So I do want to thank all you guys for being here. We're going to be getting going in a few moments, because otherwise I just feel like I'm going to become a negative Nelly and start whining. I don't want to do that. But I think we know what needs to be done. We don't know the details of how it's going to be done. But we know what the major problems that they're facing and the hurdles. So let's hope that they can conquer them. You guys can keep commenting in the chat right here. You can comment in the comment section. Keep yelling at each other. Keep telling each other what needs to be done. I'm not going to stress. Don't worry, Brian. I'm just a little disappointed. So let's hope that things turn around by next quarter. I don't expect anything to change between now and when we're sitting here in early February doing the same thing. And we will have a Lucid video out shortly, and we will have a Nikola video out, or this repeated, but without me talking over it. So I want to thank everyone for watching. You guys have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.